This video is brought to you by Squarespace. More on that in a bit. A few weeks back, I saw this rolling down the road. A giant shopping cart essentially attached to a go-kart. And you know who I thought of? I thought of you guys. I'm currently working on a video about the history of the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile, which I think I would rather daily drive than the Cybertruck. This one's been a long time coming. I'm not sure why I've put this video off. Maybe it's a deep-seated fear that, though you all say you want this video, in the end the masses just won't have any interest in an in-depth video essay about a giant vehicle shaped like a highly specific food. But I think this video needs to happen, for I am an American, and there's truly nothing more American than a hot dog on wheels roaming the open highways of America. Little did I know before digging into this crazy story that there would be so much to relish. Frankly, I'm afraid I might have bitten off more than I can chew. Okay, no more of those. The truth is, few brand artifacts have existed for so long in American pop culture as the Oscar Mayer Wienermobile. How did this crazy, barely legal machine come to exist, and is there more to this story than meets the eye? Before we dive in though, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, which is Squarespace. I've been building a site as a sort of home base for the Bart brand using Squarespace, a place where I can keep all of my videos and my book and any other upcoming projects that I have. Squarespace makes it so simple and easy. It's great because even though I have no experience building websites, I can literally have a ready-to-go website that matches my branding without the headache that is typically associated with building a site. Whether you're booking client slots and consults or shipping t-shirts, Squarespace makes it all so simple. Acuity scheduling makes it so that clients can grab a time, pay, get auto reminders, and expanded global shipping, pulls real-time rates from local carriers by destination, size, and weight, so if you are shipping things you're never eating shipping costs. I'm also using Squarespace's e-commerce to sell my book, and the checkout is smooth and secure. If you've been thinking about launching your own site, whatever it's for and whatever you need, head to squarespace.com/Bart's Car Stories for a free trial, and when you're ready to launch, use code Bart's Car Stories to get 10% off your first purchase of a website or a domain. Big thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video, and let's dive back in. In the 1930s, companies were desperate for visibility. This was the Great Depression. Radio was new, TV didn't exist. Companies were looking for creative but also affordable methods to get the word out, and the idea of a moving billboard that could bring the party to your town was actually pretty revolutionary. It was in this world that the idea for the Wienermobile was first conceived all the way back in 1936 by Carl G. Mayer, the nephew of Oscar himself. This sausage-shaped sound car, as they called it, began as simply a local street-level spectacle. The first 13-foot, 2,000-pound hot dog car rolled out of Chicago in October of '36 and debuted in Janesville, Wisconsin the very next day. Early publicity didn't yet standardize the Wienermobile name as we know it. Some called it the German Wiener Sound Car or Sound Truck, but the concept was set. A mobile attention magnet pairing a novelty silhouette with amplified music and a brand representative. There was also the important Little Oscar character, sometimes behind the wheel or standing through the sunroof. He was a pint-sized brand ambassador in a chef hat who became a celebrity in his own right. Kids loved him, adults found him mildly unsettling, but together they made the Wienermobile unforgettable. In this earliest phase, the vehicle's job was essentially street-side theater. Show up, draw a crowd, and make Oscar Mayer's German-style wieners the talk of the block. Similar to today, really. These early Wienermobiles were quite rudimentary, but by 1940, it had started to evolve. The now iconic glass enclosure made up the cockpit, but World War II got going. Gas rationing parked the program as the company focused on canning meats for soldiers. This was no time for dicking around. But as the 1950s brought about innovation and life back into the automotive industry, a confident relaunch of the Wienermobile was in order, with multiple new builds, a 22-foot Gerstenlager-bodied Dodge-based model in 1952. One example actually now sits in the Henry Ford Museum, but then in 1958, a Brooks Stevens redesign that put the wiener in the bun. This one really cemented the now classic silhouette of the Wienermobile. These mid-century vehicles established two pillars of the modern Wienermobile design, a whimsical exterior that photographed beautifully, and a showman's interior, sunroof, sound system, the kind of vehicle that's fit for parades, store openings, schools, and hospitals. In 1969, Oscar Mayer Mechanics in Madison, Wisconsin built fresh versions from an eclectic parts bin, even borrowing Ford Thunderbird taillights. A larger motorhome chassis Wienermobile followed in 1976, the last before a 1977 retirement as the company shifted their budgets towards new forms of advertising, especially on television. This kind of on-the-road advertising, it seemed silly at this point. Was it really profitable to send a team of drivers out on the road to drive this goofy vehicle through American cities? But it did feel like there was kind of an absence without the Wienermobiles out, and the image of this vehicle had really stuck in the American mind as kind of a quintessential roadside attraction in the post-war era. Public demand pulled the Wienermobile out of the shadows for its 50th birthday in 1986, followed by a proper renaissance in 1988, 6 new 23-foot fiberglass dogs with microwaves, refrigerators, cell phones, and stereos playing 21 versions of the Oscar Mayer jingle. The Wienermobile's return in the 80s hit the same nerve as classic Coke, Elvis stamps, and the Space Shuttle. It was a goofy, feel-good throwback that somehow felt relevant again. The 1995 Harry Bradley concept ushered in a more aerodynamic, GM-based, and also tech-forward era. This thing was wind tunnel tested, it had a hot dog-shaped dashboard, also a pair of 2000 models added things like GPS, ABS, beefier drivetrains, and then in 2004, a redesign on the Chevrolet W Series chassis refreshed the vehicle once again. Through these iterations, the Wienermobile evolved into a full-on rolling media platform made for crowds, for cameras, and for local news, a kind of theme park attraction on wheels. It was clear to the company at this point that the Wienermobile did have its place, even if you couldn't point to specific profits from it. Oscar Mayer spent the 2010s multiplying this concept. There was a mini Wienermobile on a Mini Cooper S chassis, a special edition Wienermobile food truck, which served select beef franks. In 2013, the brand gamified the tour with the Wienermobile Run, inviting fans to steer tasks and routes. 2014 brought a cheeky tweet-to-lease promotion and a 360 app. Then came the spin-offs. There were RC battery-powered Wiener Rovers. In 2017, the Wiener Cycle, and then there was also the Wiener Drone. There was even a jetpack super hot dogger. This time was pretty wild, The people who pilot Wienermobiles are usually college-aged and are known as hot doggers. And, they're as essential as the vehicles themselves. They're selected to be specifically extroverted and also to have a lot of stamina. You have to be able to do the meet and greet, hand out swag, run social feeds, and answer the eternal bathroom question. There's typically 6 Wienermobiles currently traversing the country, maintaining a constant loop of county fairs, grocery lots, and civic festivals that keep the icon familiar to kids and also nostalgics alike. The Wienermobile has really collected a lot of lore over the years, from major museums preserving specific examples, but then there's also, occasional headline-grabbing traffic stops or mishaps. In 2023, there was a bit of a naming controversy. For several summer months that year, Kraft Heinz tested a rebrand of the Wienermobile to be the Frankmobile to spotlight its 100% beef franks. There was quite a bit of backlash, and by September, the company flipped the badge back to the Wienermobile. And it really showed that while the vehicle can, have little offshoots, its core identity is still the Wienermobile. That's what the public wants. Just give us the simple, giant hot dog vehicle, call it the Wienermobile, and we will all continue to freak out every single time we see it. I've always wondered how this vehicle works legally, and the truth is that every version of the Wienermobile since the 1980s revival has been built on a production vehicle chassis, typically GM, Dodge, or Chevy commercial vehicles like that W Series. That means that they are registered, licensed, and insured like any other vehicle. They must have functioning headlights, brake lights, mirrors, and all the safety gear. They're driven by trained, licensed people who have their own dedicated orientation. Now, older pre-war and mid-century versions were, you could say, loosely legal. They weren't really built to meet modern safety codes, and mostly they were just kind of like parade vehicles and not meant for long-distance driving the way that these sort of modern Wienermobile RV vehicles essentially are. With that being said, there have been mishaps though. In 2009 in Wisconsin, a Wienermobile driver accidentally drove onto a homeowner's lawn and got stuck under the house's overhang. The local police arrived, but ultimately there weren't any citations. The driver apologized and the vehicle was towed out. In 2020, the Wienermobile was pulled over also in Wisconsin by a sheriff for failing to yield to an emergency vehicle. The deputy gave him a verbal warning, and the department later posted the incident on social medias. Again, no fines or charges. There have been surprisingly very few major issues with this giant vehicle. Sometimes there are parking issues, and some cities have different zoning restrictions. Now, there's no talking about the Wienermobile without looking at its storied racing history. I'm actually serious. Wienermobiles have appeared and even traversed racetracks throughout history, but in May of 2025, just before the 109th running of the Indianapolis 500, something truly absurd happened on one of America's most sacred patches of asphalt. 6 massive fiberglass sausages lined up at the starting grid. They called it the Weenie 500. For the first time ever, Oscar Mayer gathered all 6 of its legendary Wienermobiles to go head-to-head in a genuine high-stakes race on the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Each one represented a different regional dog, a cross-country culinary showdown at 40 miles per hour. The race was broadcast live on Fox Sports during Carb Day, and yes, people actually tuned in. At the line, Slaw Dog made a daring pass on Chili Dog, coming out of turn 4, clinching victory by about, and this is how the announcer put it, half a bun. The winner rolled into victory lane and was crowned with a custom Wiener's wreath. According to Kraft Heinz press release, this was the first time in more than a decade that all 6 Wienermobiles had appeared together, and the first time that they'd ever raced on the same track. But perhaps the single most infamous race-related Wienermobile moment came back in 2015 at Laguna Seca, when the Wienermobile rolled onto the Mazda Raceway circuit to drive 2 laps on the famous track, including through the famous corkscrew. It was much like when a giant Great Dane or chubby bulldog tries to do those, agility courses. According to the track's own release, a Facebook post of the Wienermobile navigating the corkscrew reached more than 850,000 people in under 48 hours. Another genius promotional move from Oscar Mayer. There are really 3 main aspects that have made the Wienermobile just have so much longevity. First, the form is instantly recognizable at really any distance and any angle. There's nothing else like it. This exaggerated silhouette, it lightens your brain up. Second, Oscar Mayer never let the gags stagnate. They've just kept it fun. Third, the program really centers around human contact. You don't just see the Wienermobile. You can collect a wiener whistle or pose for a photo, meet a hot dogger, and then of course tell the story. These kinds of things help keep the brand in mind. I think that Oscar Mayer realized along the way that the Wienermobile is a unique and valuable form of advertising. When Coke plays an ad during a football game, it's not exactly to literally make you go out and buy a 12-pack. It's to keep Coke relevant in the culture, but even a funny Super Bowl Coke ad doesn't hit the same way as seeing the Wienermobile out in person. It doesn't feel like an ad. It doesn't feel like a commercial or a billboard. It doesn't feel like a piece of advertising. It's wholesome. It gives you a smile. Now, when I say that the Wienermobile is the greatest vehicle in human history, I mean it. Vehicles often are made for spectacle, whether it's a hypercar or a big flashy truck or a Cybertruck. And I always talk about what kinds of vehicles actually draw crowds at car meetups, for example. Like if you pull up to a car show in a Nash Metropolitan next to a bunch of Ferraris and Lambos, you will get more attention and draw a bigger crowd. That means that the Nash Metropolitan is better at doing that specific thing, at being a spectacle, than those vehicles. No other vehicle in history has set out to be a spectacle and succeeded quite like the Wienermobile. If the definition of greatest in the automotive industry is the ability to make people gawk, then the Wienermobile wins. I mean, people who own wild, exotic sports cars, they're trying to make you do a double take. And listen, when I see a Ferrari, I do notice it. I point it out, but I also kind of get this gut reaction that couldn't be more opposite of what the Wienermobile makes me feel. It's just kind of ugh. So when I compare my reaction and most people's reaction from that of a supercar or hypercar or Cybertruck to the reaction that we all have when we see the Wienermobile, I mean, there's just no comparison. No other vehicle in history has been able to make people feel this way. Now, I would love to hear from you guys, especially those of you who are older. Did you ever stumble upon maybe one of these older Wienermobiles back in the day? Have you ever gotten to experience this vehicle, taken pictures, and just done the whole thing? Let us know in the comments. Thanks for watching, guys, and we'll see you in the next one. Drive safe.